In 30 days, you gained 30,000 followers.
Yeah, like 36,000 in 30 days.
Damn.
It's more than 1,000 a day.
And you weren't enjoying making that content.
I wasn't, no. All of the following that I gained from there were primarily just a result of viral formulas. There's no cap on how many people you can reach. The lowest point you can reach is 0, and even then you come home with a learning experience. What's more valuable to you? Your hopes, dreams, your future that you want to build for yourself, or the self-doubt that you have on not pleasing, people around you because you're doing something different. Push quantity, take inspiration, copy at first, find your own thing, never niche down. That's it.
Today's guest is a creative who's learned how to grow a following on social media, and he's figured out how to do it fast. His name's Jayden Lay, and in just 30 days, he was able to grow over 30,000 followers on Instagram. But it's not just about the numbers with Jayden, it's the business and value-driven mindset behind the content that sets him apart. Jayden's a young creative who understands that creativity alone isn't enough. You need systems, workflow, and strategy. And in this episode, we talk about how he approaches content like a business, his creative process, and what it actually takes to grow a brand on social media today. So if you're a creative who's trying to figure out how to turn your ideas into a personal brand that makes an impact online, then this one's for you. So let's get into it. When you go on your page, the first thing you think of is, man, these videos are mad. This guy must be like a full-time creative, videographer, something. But then as you go through your page, you realize that you do so much more than that. Like you're in uni, you're studying, you're trying to build businesses, you're doing all these things. Tell us a little bit more about like what you do outside of just being a creative.
Yeah, the whole one-liner.
It's hard to wrap it up in one line.
It's so hard to summarize what we do in one sentence. But I think the best way to describe what I personally get into is, outside of being a creative, I'm just trying to live up uni and
as you should.
Yes, as I should, and really not use my degree. It's a little bit of an oxymoron almost, because I'm completing it, but then not using it. And I think it was just that creative outlet that initially spiraled into me wanting to pursue that sort of thing while just sort of finishing it off, because I'm the type of person who can't drop something midway through. We'll have to,
so you have to
just see it all the way through first, yeah.
Is it the safety of knowing, like once you've completed it, you know that it's all, you've got it there?
I'd say underlyingly, yes, that's going to be like a backup. But then realistically, I already know that the skill sets that I've brought out just through being more creative with me sharing my own content online is enough to be my safety net in the first place. So there really is no plan B. Yeah.
So what's become the plan? Like you started uni, you're like, I'm going to finish this even though I don't intend to use it. What then became the plan or the goal?
For me, the plan was always the same. I've always been very business oriented.
Yeah, I can tell.
I've been dabbling into a little bit. I think my earliest business that I made was around when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
And that was just prime drop shipping era. That was like all e-commerce, all Shopify. It actually did pretty well. I would say it funded me throughout the entirety of my high school journey, so I didn't have to work any part-time jobs during that time. But yeah, it was just like once you get that little dip, you just realize, okay, maybe this is my vocation, this is for me.
Yeah, and it's just like, I just need to figure this out.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's kind of the journey you're on right now.
Yeah, definitely. Figuring it out is the biggest thing. I think the younger you are, the more susceptible you are to taking more risk. Cool. And in that vein, you want to take those risks in the first place, because as you age, the door closes slowly over time, because you get stacked on with responsibilities. You losing everything as well becomes that potential to just completely throw everything away and just going in from there.
It's good. So you have the awareness of like your age, like you're 19, right? You're saying you're 19.
Yeah.
And you have that awareness that like you can make mistakes now. Like this is the time where you can go all in and be patient with figuring it out. and knowing that you've got a bigger window than someone who, say, maybe my age, who's in their 30s.
Yeah,
Right?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Like losing a year here is a lot less impactful to the whole trajectory of your entire lifespan earlier on, just because.
What makes you realize that? Because I know when I was 19, you think you're old. Like a lot of people don't realize that aspect of time, especially when you're in your 20s. You don't feel like you're young. And a lot of people feel that pressure of like, I need to figure it out now. I need to have my life sorted out now. But you don't seem to have that perspective.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Is it coming from like older people? Like where are you getting this worldview of knowing that you're still young and you've got a long journey ahead of you?
I'd say it primarily comes from two camps.
Yeah.
The first camp is just the people that I've met along this whole journey. There have been people that growing up, like doing that whole drop shipping stuff, like, and just getting into business, just experiencing it all. There are people that I look up to. There are people who have made it in e-commerce in a similar situation, and just sort of seeing them doing their own thing, and becoming a creative has allowed me to end up meeting these people, and it's just unbelievable because a few years ago you'd realize, I look up to them, but I don't think I can ever reach them. But standing there almost just conversing about life and universal human struggle, that's something that hit me pretty hard, and just giving that perspective, because a lot of these people tend to be a lot older than I am.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
So yeah, it's just they've gone through the experimentation, they've gone through the lessons, and for me, it's just like a great motivator and even sometimes precautionary tale.
Yep.
But yeah, that's one camp. The second camp actually comes from the field of study that I'm in. I actually study risk specifically.
Oh wow! Okay.
So it's just looking at like how insurance companies price things and whatnot. So it's always taking a look at risk and risk aversion, risk appetites, and just from that, simply studying the theory of it, you can see a matchup. And I think that's what shifted my worldview to more so the fact that if you want to take risks, it's better to take it now because there is less to quote unquote lose.
Yep, that's good. And then what I'm realizing, like as you were telling me that first part, it made me realize like you got into something at age 15 that most 15-year-olds don't do, right? So getting into e-commerce, drop shipping, all this stuff, you don't really find 15-year-olds getting into this. They're usually going to school and playing sport on the weekends, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to get good at that, and you wanted to learn from other people, the people that you're learning from are usually older.
Yeah, exactly. There's levels to it.
Yeah, exactly. So literally just by wanting to learn e-commerce, drop shipping, all that type of thing, you're surrounding yourself with older people. So it just makes sense that by surrounding yourself with them and learning from them, they're going to teach you some life lessons that older people would know rather than being around other 15-year-olds. Am I right? This is just
exactly.
What
There's
I
just
see.
that mismatch, but then you still want to stay grounded. So you would sort of mix throughout both of them, because there's something to learn from everyone. That's something that I like to point out, that like no matter who you meet, where they are in their journey, there is something you can gain from connecting with them, getting to know their story. So I want to actually pivot over to you, Kenny.
Yeah, sure.
Right. So
yeah, man.
What would you say is the sort of progression for you coming on to this sort of creative journey for you?
I started my creative journey before being a creative, I was a PT. So I was in gyms working in the fitness industry for 15 years. Easy.
That's awesome, man.
I loved it. Loved the whole health space, but I think it's that curiosity. Like you just have so many different interests. I'm like, I just want to do something different. So I got into the creative space, but I realized I'm like, I can't rush this. Something I learned from being a PT, there's a lot of similarities, but a lot of people get in there and then if it doesn't work within 12 months, they quit and they don't give themselves enough time to figure it out, I guess. So when I got into it, I knew already I need to be patient because I'm new in this space and I don't know all the right people. All my mates were in the fitness space. No one knew about photography or anything. They didn't even want to come out and shoot with me because they just wanted to be in the gym. So my plan was I'm not going to decide anything for 5 years. Like if this isn't working in 5 years' time, that's enough time for me to give this up, right?
Right.
But until then, I'm just going to put my head down and work. I didn't really know what direction I wanted to go in, but I was like, if I just work every day, I'll figure it out. And I can't just say, I can't just quit within 12 months because I've seen enough people do that. Like try, and then you just never see him ever again. And it's like, you just didn't give yourself enough time to figure this out.
Exactly.
So for me, it was that. And then as I went, I kind of started figuring out what I liked, what I didn't like. So for the first 2 years, it was like, I'm never going to say no to anything because I don't know if I like it or not, right? So if someone told me to go and shoot like water photography, I'd go and do it. And then by doing it, I'd then be like, okay, that sucked. I'm never doing that again. And then I'd just cross that off. And slowly over time, by just saying yes to everything, I then learned what to say no to. I did one wedding. I was like, cool, I'm never doing that again. But I wouldn't have known if I didn't do it. And then I think by giving myself enough time to try different things, I was able to like eliminate so many different things and start to have clarity with like what my goals should be. And then slowly but surely, you start to create opportunities based on the things that you like, as well as other opportunities that you don't see coming. Like podcasting wasn't a thing for me. 2 years ago, we built this space and then they needed someone to run it. And I was the only guy available because I make content for this gym, right? And the CEO. So he built out this gym, this podcast studio. And then he's like, Ken, I don't know how to use any of this. Like, you've got to run it. So that opportunity just came up and I was willing to take that on. So I was just right place, right time. But willing to take chances like this and figuring out how to use this space taught me a lot of lessons that then gave me the confidence to then build a photography studio. I wouldn't have been able to do that if I hadn't have done this, right? Because the photography studio, I had to build that whole thing out, put same equipment, a whole process that I knew nothing about. But by going through this process, I know that, all right, I'm not going to fully understand this, but I can figure it out because I figured out the podcast studio. So I think by giving myself 5 years, I gave myself time to eliminate all the things and find clarity with like my goal, as well as give myself time to try opportunities, figure it out, and build confidence to then try other things and keep expanding from there.
You said it.
I think where I'm at now is I would think they're like my biggest learnings from what I've done over the last 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing you say there because that 5 year scope is such an important part of making any sort of pivot. Even just thinking about it, for me, my own journey, I'm only about a year in to this creative journey. But in terms of the actual filmmaking side of things, I've been doing this for 11 years.
Okay. Yeah.
I was in Australia, it's primary school. So I was in primary school, had my first encounter with a camera.
Awesome.
And yeah, just shot some content really. I was looking into like early YouTube, the Casey Neistats, all of that stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to get into that, experiment a little bit.
But it was just something that was fun.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, it was just a fun, creative outlet because, I mean, growing up as Asian as I am, had to do really well in school. So yeah, that was a big thing where it was just like, I needed some sort of outlet towards my creativity. And yeah, going into filmmaking, that whole 11-year span, I didn't post a single video. There wasn't any sort of courage within me to really put my work out there until I realized, well, just fuck it, let's do it.
When did that happen?
The big break was pretty much exactly a year ago, like June, May last year.
What was going through your mind? What made you decide to, all right, I'm posting now?
This was a funky one. I was thinking of doing it for a long time, but I wanted to perfect my craft before showing up, which is probably the biggest mistake that I made, and it cost me a few years of just delaying my own destiny almost, my own vocation. So what pushed me over the edge was I was thinking, keep in mind, I was thinking about this for the past 2 years, and I finally bit the bullet on getting a mentor. Now this mentor was someone that I looked up to for those 2 years, that I was like, okay, this is my inspiration for content. And I feel like even during that whole period of speaking with that mentor, I don't think I've actually learned much about content because there's no secret. I'm sure you already know that. There's really no secret. You just have to run into problems, run into them frequently, and then you'll get the output that you, in the end, want. Just by running into problems that you will face along that journey. So the big thing is people will go through their journey and think about problems that haven't even arisen yet.
Yeah, true.
So it's just, going through the whole motion of it. That's really the secret of content. Just being okay with low periods, high periods, all of that stuff. But yeah, back to that whole mentor side of things. I didn't learn much, but it was really just hearing it from the right person.
Yeah.
Just to think, well, what's more valuable to you? Your hopes, dreams, your future that you want to build for yourself, or the self-doubt that you have on not pleasing, people around you because you're doing something different. Right? And it's just weighing those two. And I think that's what pushed me over the edge last year.
That's really good because I feel that's what holds a lot of people back. Like that self-doubt and the fears that never even come to reality. Like being afraid of things and then like if you have a fear, most times when you do it, those fears that you had never come to life. Like you're scared of what all these people are going to think of you and all this type of thing. And it's like, you do it and it's like, no one said anything, man. Like all those things I was freaking out about never really come about. But at the time, they're so scary and there's so much doubt. Everyone's going to think I suck, I'm not good enough. You start scrolling and you see all these people that are better than you. And you just think, like they're the things that set a lot of people back. But then you did it. And then what was that like?
It was rough. I gotta be 100% transparent with it. I didn't like my own content when I started.
Yeah, a lot of people don't, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't even to the point where my first 10 videos I didn't like, and then I started liking it a little bit more. I think the big thing is I initially wasn't creating for the sake of just creating anymore. I was trying to build a personal brand, which I didn't even know what a personal brand even entailed back then. So this is again running into problems that I actually needed to experience and not just overthinking it from the start. I did it. I realized that the type of content that I made wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do. Day in the life content that was more so towards views and virality and less so about building like a genuine connection with people. So yeah, just running into that issue. And then as I started progressing into content that I actually wanted to make, it was just such a great creative journey because I could focus more on being able to push what I wanted to push out rather than just pushing for views, posting every day, even if I, thought a video was meh at best.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. That's so interesting. Just, again, it's very similar to what I was saying I went through. Like you do something and you don't realize if you're going to enjoy doing it or not until you do it. And then realizing that you can pivot. Like there's nothing wrong with trying something and knowing like, all right, this isn't for me. I can change it. But the longer you hold back on just doing it, the longer you're going to take to learn these lessons.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. What about pivoting from those things? Like when you're doing something, was it working initially even though you weren't enjoying it?
Yeah, no, it was like probably the highest point of my own growth throughout the past year.
Yeah.
There was a period where I kid you not, 30 days where I went from, I think it was like 2,000 of my Instagram followers all the way up to 38,000.
Damn.
So that was, a 36,000 follower bump in, within those 30 days. And it was...
In 30 days, you gained 30,000 followers.
Yeah, like 36,000 in 30 days.
Damn.
It's more than 1,000 a day.
And you weren't enjoying making that content?
I wasn't, no. It was, yeah, it's a really funky feeling because you'll see people with a lot of volume in terms of their following, in terms of the amount of content that they post. But in the end, it's never a comparison game because you got to think, what is the goal? Like what is the end goal? Do you want a big following? Is that why you're trying to to share your work online, or is it purely because maybe you're trying to gain clients, right? There are people who are more business focused than creative, but they just happen to do creative work.
Yeah.
Right. So it's just like that whole, hate to sound businessy, but it's
No,
that whole addressable market type of thing where if you are targeting exactly who you want to reach, then it doesn't really matter how big you are as a creator. You can still make this your vocation. You can still make it your full-time job.
Yeah, of course. Was that confusing
Oh,
at
it
all?
was so confusing.
Like it's obviously working. You're getting all these followers, all this engagement, but you don't enjoy it. Like you want to do something different. Is it scary to then be like, I'm just changing this?
Oh yeah, this is a big thing. The whole sunk cost fallacy of
Very
creating.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, it's such a limiting factor because you originally think, okay, I'm here to serve my audience, right? But in the end, the first person you are serving is yourself because you got to think of the 5-year scope that you had.
Yep.
Right? You could not serve one person or like, a community or a persona for those 5 years if you did not resonate with that persona in the first place. So
True.
yeah, from the very start, it was primarily just know exactly what you want first of all and make that work around the people that you want to attract.
That's true. I hear Casey, you were talking about Casey Neistat before. Something that he taught me and I've brought up before is he always talks about if you make what you find is interesting, like if you find this thing interesting, someone else is going to find it interesting. So make videos about that, right? And then those people are going to find you. You can't, a lot of people tend to do that. Like, oh, this is what like the masses want. This is what the algorithm may want. And I think other people may want, but it's not what I want. And the reason you make it is because you're making for everyone else and not you. However, if you make for yourself, even though it's a quirky or something that you don't think is as viral or trendy, by making it, other people will resonate with it and that community will find you.
Yeah.
And that's
exactly.
enough to make a living from that thing.
Yeah, exactly. You just need to have, I say the best metric is true fans. There's a difference between followers, subscribers, and true fans because these true fans will basically follow you to the end of the earth.
Yeah.
And like that's not in some like schemy way or whatever. This is basically just like a second family that you're building with the power of the internet. And yeah, this whole like true fans mantra is such an important part of keeping you sane and grounded as a creative because you can have just an unbelievable following in terms of numbers. You could have millions plus and yeah, it's just you can't really connect with all those million. So it's really just weeding out, who's really there for you and
Totally.
And yeah, working with that.
How do you identify a true fan and how do you build a true fan?
Yeah, I think the best way to identify a true fan.
Like, how do you know? Like, you get 30,000 followers overnight. How many of those do you think are real fans of your page and your brand?
I'd say rarely any of them.
Yep.
Because the thing with like overnight successes is it's just a volume game. Because at the time I was posting every single day.
Yep.
For 60 days straight, posting not cinematic content, but just like, decently clean looking content. And it was during my experimentation phase. And all of the following that I gained from there were primarily just a result of viral formulas. Right? Because there are
How
things.
did you figure this out?
There are things that go viral.
Yeah, tell me.
Let's see. In terms of how I figured it out.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but just doom scroll for a bit. Like if you're in the line of fire, you're putting yourself there with everyone else.
But
in
not
terms
just
of
doom
virality.
scroll, you're obviously analysing it and trying to figure it out. Like,
100%,
what are you
100%.
looking at when you're doom scrolling?
The most important part is, I know everyone's just gonna say the hook is the most important part. But yeah, the hook is the most important. But second to that, which is actually where like most of the growth comes from, is followable content.
Followable content.
Yeah, it's a really.
What do you mean, like a series?
Almost that.
Yep.
Yeah, it's an underlooked thing, right? Because followable content is very different from viral content. Because if you had a viral video, which even before I had my own personal brand, I was able to pull a few million views for different accounts. None of them actually gained in terms of like performance any traction from that viral video, even though it got millions of views.
Yep.
And it's just a byproduct of the fact that nobody wants to follow you just simply by watching one video, right? Unless they connect with you so deeply that they're going to give you a follow straight away, or you're so valuable to the point where they're like, okay, this is going to help me in my life. I want this person to show up on my feed, in my inbox every day.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's thinking about followable content that actually gets you the growth from virality. It's just something that a lot of people don't think about when they first think of, oh, let's be a creator, let's be, I hate to say influencer, but let's be an influencer. And yeah, just looking at that.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of your content, especially the some of the pieces of content that you said were doing really well, I saw that they're very high in value. Like you're teaching something that someone could actually take away and implement into their own lives. Like the studying videos, like how to study better, how to have a better workflow. These are high value things that someone in that similar position could benefit from if they took it away and implemented it.
Yeah.
Rather than like you see other viral videos and they almost like don't make sense. Like they confuse you. It's like, why does this have millions of views? And I think that's kind of what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, pretty much. It's it just goes back to the quality over quantity.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going for things that people can actually resonate with, people can gain some sort of value for, and then they want to leave the video thinking I gained something by watching it. If you can get that feeling, you'll have a viral video that not just gets a lot of views, but one that will actually help you in your own progression to turning this into an actual profitable thing. So rather than just being a passion project.
Yeah, of course. Mad, really good. And then, so you did the 60 days, you figured out how to make these viral pieces of content, how to gain a following. It wasn't what you wanted. What did you want to do? What did you think you wanted to do?
For me, it was never about content. Like, if it were up to me, I would close all of my social media accounts and just, I don't know, do content for the fun of it, just privately. But then obviously that's nowhere near as lucrative. And if you want to do that full time, then it's just something that you have to do in terms of stepping there. So
what are the benefits of putting it all out there?
I mean, the benefit is you are essentially your own organic marketing.
Yeah, very good.
That's the basis of it. If you want to go a little bit deeper into it, the whole idea of putting yourself out there is all about the interaction time you have with your ideal audience, with your ideal customer. And this is pretty important because nobody is going to watch a video, or very rarely, someone's going to watch a video once and immediately say, okay, I'm investing in this person. Right?
Yeah, true.
It's like, okay, especially like courses and stuff like that, you need to build so much trust, because if you can't provide results for people, it's just like there's no point on selling a course. Right? So you need to have enough proof that this can work. So yeah, it's just about the interaction time. Looking at one interactions, looking at one 60-second video from like, let's just say if you posted one 60-second video, like I'm probably not gonna trust you within the first 60 seconds.
You're not going to buy something from me.
exactly, right? Like I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, he's got a studio, maybe I'll book it out. Yeah. Right? You gotta interact with it. No, for I would say safe measure around like an hour. Right? So that if that's in short form, like 60-second Instagram reels or TikToks, that's looking at 60 reels, TikToks. If it's a YouTube video, like one of these podcasts, that's 1 hour podcast. Right? So it's just that interaction time. The value of that personal brand is that you'll have that hour reach more than just one person. You're going to be interacting with an infinite amount of people that you can just, there's no cap on how many people you can reach. The lowest point you can reach is 0. And even then you come home with a learning experience.
Yeah, it's a positive no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
That's interesting. And there are a lot of people that, or even businesses and brands that I see that aren't taking advantage of this opportunity. Like they're not trying to build a brand. They're not putting themselves out there because they're too busy running a business and doing other things. What tips would you give in terms of like managing time? There are people that they're not just creators. They know that there's this massive opportunity of organic marketing and it's there if they can make the time to create this content, but they're also like running a business, doing all these other things, studying, for me, like I'm building all these other things and it's like, how do you find the time to manage it all and be able to post consistently and build a brand while also doing all these other things? Because you can speak on this well because you're still going to uni, you're still doing all these other things.
Exactly.
How would you do it? Because I hear you talk about workflow a lot and being efficient with your time and how you time block. These are all really good things to bring up. A lot of people don't know how to manage their time well in order to do these things. And then because of priorities, things just get pushed to the side. Then before you know it, 2 months go by and you haven't posted, like your last post was months ago.
Yeah. There's a really important thing that needs to be brought up with it when it comes to workflow, because like you can talk about, do some time blocking, listen to this framework of time management. But in the end, it's all about just picking what you're going to prioritize at this one point, right? Like it's unrealistic to think that you can run a business, do content, study in university, work full time, and do that all to a high standard to the point where you can succeed in any one of those.
Yes.
There has to be those periods of quiet times, and this is why sometimes like the creators who truly understand this, you'll see them go quiet for like a short period of time, and they'll come back having built something amazing, right? And it's just understanding that when it comes to workflow, when it comes to really managing everything, you got to think realistically. You can't do it all at once, and if you want to do well, if you want to succeed in exactly what you want to do, you just have to have that focus. Yeah, it's just picking the highest yield thing.
Yep.
Right. Like what's going to give me the highest amount of utility per unit of effort that I put in. And once you pick that task, stick with it. Go to the next one. Then go to the next one. Then go to the next one.
I've watched some of your videos, and I've seen you make time to like intentionally do deep work. So I saw a YouTube video you posted. You went to Melbourne.
Yes.
And you said in 2 days' time, I was able to do the amount of work that I would have taken me 2 months. Right. And it's like intentionally making time to focus on just this one thing. And I think that's a really good point, because there are things that people just let drag on. It's like, I'm just going to whenever I can find time, I'll just work on this thing. And it takes months. And then the amount of time from the idea to actually having that idea completed is like 6 to 12 months. Whereas you take the time to intentionally like block out this 2 days or whatever it is and just put all your focus into this one thing and just get it done. Can you speak on that? Like where did you get this strategy from? How do you benefit from it?
I think for me, the whole idea of that came from the startup world, right? So for context, I currently work alongside a venture capital firm, and the biggest culture shock that I had, first of all, it wasn't really a culture shock. It was just like I finally found something that aligned with me. Was that the startup culture is always, let's just do it now, right? So if you wanted to call a meeting in corporate, I've worked both corporate and startups. Corporate, it's like, okay, let's schedule in this meeting next week at this time, at this date.
Yep.
Right. But then with startups, it's like, oh, okay, I need to talk with you within the next week. When are you best free? And then for the most part, like your coworkers are just going to say, fuck, let's do it now.
Yeah.
Like, why are we delaying things?
Yeah.
So
totally.
Yeah, it's like that whole idea of deep work and all of that stuff. It comes from the idea that if you can focus on just one thing for an extended period of time, you are going to compound the momentum that you gain from that one thing to the point where you'll achieve the same thing in 3 hours than what you thought to achieve within 2 months of just, oh, I'll do it here and there.
Yeah, man. I totally agree. Especially like I've fallen for it, man. I've experienced it where you're trying to just do too many different things at the same time and you feel like you're being productive because you've got all these things going on. But it's just taking you so much longer rather than just being like, I just need to focus on this one thing. Like having too many things, it almost just becomes a distraction and it makes you feel productive, but you're not really doing that deep work.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree. It's hard though, but a lot of the times it's like also making that time, what you touched on before, is like actually stopping and then figuring out and prioritizing like what's the most important thing. When you've got too many things going on, because you have too many things going on, you don't have time to stop and reflect and figure these things out. And you just keep going and going and going. And then before you realize so much time's gone by and you haven't really gone anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
I also saw that like you journal a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
That.
And I feel like this is a good way, especially for people that are busy or have a lot on. For me, it helps. I write down a lot too. And it helps me get those thoughts out. And actually, once I see it, I can then prioritize. And getting my thoughts out on paper and being able to look at them helps me a lot. But I feel like you do it all the time.
Yeah, it's
what
the
got
one.
you into it and how does it help you?
This is such a funny thing. For me, I journal literally every day. Like no matter where I'm traveling, if I'm, just doing some domestic flight in another city, I'll always bring it with me. International, I'll take it with me. Even when I'm not working or need to track something, always just have it with you. It's just become a habit. But what got me started in the first place was a little bit of a funky story. So there are these two guys who started a journaling company that I work with.
Yep.
And I was there from like day one in terms of like, actually being there.
You were their true fan.
Yeah, the true fan. There you go. We hit the true fan. So yeah, I actually bought one of their books first off because I was like, okay, I'm going to get into journaling. Like I need to think a little bit more deeply on like where I'm going with myself. And this is actually what kind of started my content journey as well, in terms of just figuring out, okay, what do I want to do? Because I was studying university. I was just tracking through. And I didn't really think about what I was going to go forward with. So yeah, I needed some sort of reflective outlet during that time. So I bought one, made a few videos about it, like, okay, this is my accountability. I'm going to journal in this thing every single day.
Yep.
And yeah, it was just like, I'm going to turn my life around. I was pretty lazy. I was pretty lazy back then, man.
Yeah. But you felt like journaling would turn your life around.
Not journaling in itself. I would say it was just the whole idea of realizing what you were doing every day.
Yep.
If you can see exactly what happens throughout your day, you can't lie to yourself anymore. So for me, it was just like that whole snowball happened, and eventually the two founders of that company saw my content. They're both Sydney based as well. And yeah, hopped on a call and got to working together.
Yeah, no way. Wow.
Yeah.
Through your content.
Yeah.
Of you posting about using their product.
That was my first ever actual brand deal.
Yeah. Wow. That's cool, man. So you just started making content about it.
Yeah, pretty
much. They liked it and they reached out.
Yeah.
And you like it, which is good because you genuinely use the product.
Oh, this is a big thing. I will never take a brand deal from a brand that I don't genuinely use.
Yeah.
Like I actually turn down more brand deals than I probably should be.
Yeah.
Like it's a thing that's stopping me from going full time with content as well, because like I could 100% charge for all the brand deals that I get, but I just don't believe in it. I don't like the whole idea of like, a brand just reached out and I only knew about them for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And now I have to promote them. Like,
doesn't feel genuine.
No, like especially to an audience, you want to think, like, why am I doing this in the first place? Like, why am I making content? Is it for me? Is it to make a living? Is it to just be a creative outlet? For me, it was mainly just a creative outlet. It's like a passion project. I want to be able to look back at where I started in 20 years and be like, this is the journey that I went through. This is the struggles that I went through. And this is how I got there.
Yep.
it's just this whole idea of like, how will you be remembered?
True. And I think because of that, you're not afraid of branching out into like talking about different topics.
Yeah.
Like you don't really niche down.
I'd never niche down. I think for me, the niche is this one as well. Like you are the niche. But it's like
pulling them all out today.
It's not really you are the niche. Like I have a very interesting way of stating this. This is actually part of a little roadmap that I'm currently in the works of building. So look out for that.
Okay.
But yeah, it's thinking of what is your defining gem. So when you want to, this is for like new creatives as well. If you want to start sharing your work online, the best way to balance creating stuff that you actually want to create and also growing a genuine audience, building that personal brand to turn your passion into your vocation, your profitable mission, whatever. To actually get to that point, the one thing you need is to be considered a hidden gem. Almost. You want someone to come across your work and say, this person is genuinely underrated. I'm going to gatekeep them for myself. Like you ever see creators like that? You're just like, this guy's too good and he's only got like you know, like a small following, not many people know about him. This is mine now. I'm not sharing it with anyone else. This is my content to consume.
Yeah, totally. That's really good. And I think touching on like not niching down, I've seen a video of you talking about this, and the way you put it was really eye-opening. It made a lot of sense. You were talking to someone, I don't know if it was in one of your YouTube videos or whatnot, but you said if you met someone for the first time and you realized that they liked traveling, you wouldn't want to keep talking to that person about traveling for the next year.
Exactly.
You'd want to know more about them, especially if you find them interesting. So like, why would you not share all those other things? Because as a viewer or as someone who just met this person, you'd want to know more about them. So you should be willing to share those things. And it makes so much sense. If you met someone in real life and you just talked about one topic for a whole year, you'd almost lose interest in them.
Yeah, it's all about the human factor.
Yeah.
Right? If you're telling a story of you, but then the only thing that's part of you is the thing that's right in front of you, like it's not going to be interesting. You're not a human anymore. You're just like a shell of yourself.
Yeah,
like you're
I
just a
agree.
piece of yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, but it also does separate you. Like you see a lot of content that does start looking the same, even trends, right? Like people will jump on a trend, but then everything starts looking the same. And I think that's fine if you're trying to like grow a big audience or get more people find out about who you are. But then at the same time, there has to be content that branches out into these other interests, because that's what separates you from just looking the same as everyone else. And I look at a lot of the content or the creators that I follow, and a lot of the times, even on YouTube, the vloggers that I follow, I'm like, man, the type of things they're talking about, hundreds of people are talking about. But I want to hear from this guy because I connect with him in so many other ways. I can think of like 3 specifically where I'm just like, he likes the gym, he likes basketball, he likes I'm like, I like all those things. Therefore, when he talks about like the new iPhone, I want to listen to him talk about the new iPhone, because I've made all these other connections that makes me trust him. And something that I learned from sales is that like, which like ties this all together, is that like we tend to think we're good people. Like I think I'm a good person. And if you talk to most people, they think they're a good person, right? So therefore, if I can make connections with you and you tend to start thinking that I'm a lot like you, you're going to think, well, I'm a good person, therefore he must be a good person, therefore I now trust him, right? Especially when you first meet someone. I learned this when I was selling at the bunker, actually. I was their sales manager, right? But something that I learned then was like in the first 10 minutes, if, say you met someone and you find out that their interests are, they play basketball, they're a family man, all these things, and you say you're also interested in these things, they're like, oh man, this guy must be a great guy because I think I'm a great guy, right?
Yeah.
And the same thing applies in content. If you start sharing all these things and you make these connections, you build trust simply because other people can relate to what you're saying and your interests.
Pretty much. It's this whole idea of your competition when you niche down is the entirety of that space, that entirety of the niche. Right. So if you were to, I don't know, be a travel videographer, right? Your competition is every other travel videographer out there. But if you're a travel videographer who loves to work out, is a family man, and I don't know, loves to hang out at the beach, right? Then you have no competition anymore because you are now yourself. You can't. Nobody is better at being you than yourself. So it's just leaning into that, and I think that's one thing in content that makes you unique as well. Like if you're someone who swears a lot, swear a lot. Yeah, like in your content, don't ever hold back. It's just this whole idea of your own expression. If you're able to express exactly who you are, you'll be more fulfilled in your own content as well. And yeah, that's what keeps you standing the longest.
Yeah, we tend to, it's the same. It's like you're trying to make content that you think everyone's going to like rather than just being yourself. And that's where that's where you want to be. It's just scary. Like the vulnerability of like sharing what you like and thinking, if no one likes this, it's going to hurt my feelings.
Yeah, in the end, it's for you. Like the whole idea of the personal brand is, yes, it's a business, but like you got to remember the business side comes from the brand word. You still have the personal to go. So it's just this whole idea of if you're going to leverage a personal brand, make sure it's personal. Don't go too deep into it. Like you know, don't share everything. Right, still keep yourself reserved. You know, there are some things that are just like off limits, but you want to still come off as human, and you still want to be yourself. You still want to like show up as you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with like showing flaws and all that sort of thing.
Oh, that definitely, the flaws part.
Yeah, because I the reason I think so is like it makes you feel like, because everyone's flawed, right? And when you see perfect people, it makes you feel like you're not good enough. And I think that's where all this self-doubt comes from, because you're on there looking at all these perfect people and all these perfect lives that you're afraid to post your version of what you think content should look like because you don't think it's good enough. Whereas if I see you posting your flaws, it makes me feel okay with mine. You know? I see that a lot. Like that's why I encourage people to talk about those things. Like talk about your learnings, the things that haven't gone well, because other people will connect with that and it makes them feel like, oh, cool, I'm meant to suck at the start. You know, I'm meant to be figuring it out. That's fine. Because I know I had a guy on last week and I'm like, dude, the reason I connected with your YouTube page was because you share all these things. Like talks about all the things that he's struggling with. And it made me feel like if I'm going through those same feelings, I'm like, it's okay because I know that other people are going through it too. And then it becomes normal. It's like, all right, cool. Like I shouldn't be freaking out about self-doubt and all these other things because it's part of the journey. When you hear everyone else that's made it and they've gone through these similar feelings and these similar steps, it's like, got it. I'm okay. This is like, I'm meant to be going through this.
Yeah, it's a good point you bring up actually. The whole idea of like, okay, social media is just this perfect representation of people's lives. It is. Like, I hate to say it, but for the most part, especially like earlier content creator days where it's just like purely lifestyle content and like this is only the highs of my life. See, what gets people excited about, you know, following you as a person is being able to see themselves in you. Not just where you want to be, but like if they can clearly see, you know, you have the first step. This is where like your audience stands and you're, I don't know, up here at the moment because maybe you have built a personal brand, you've gone through experiences, maybe you've, you know, done something that they want to do already, right? If there's this huge gap, like this is step 100, for example, this is level 1, you need to show that there are 100 steps going up there rather than just jumping all the way up to 100.
Yep.
And that comes from relating your past. That comes from looking forward as well. Like sharing what you're working on is a pretty important one as well, because they can see where you're going, and also looking at your present. You have to be able to show all 3 facets of those parts of you to then get someone to understand why you're doing what you're doing. And it's only from there that you can come with these true fans that we were talking about earlier.
Yeah. I agree. That makes sense. Everything you just said, I can see in your content. As an example, I'd say like, you're not afraid to say like, I've seen videos of yours where you're like, my room's a mess. I used to be lazy. You've said that and you've shared that. So someone can relate to that. It's like, who's in that same position. It's like, oh yeah, man, I'm lazy too. But then you're like, these are the steps I used to get out of it. I started journaling. So now there's like, not only have you connected with me because you've shown your flaws, right? You've also given me value on like how to get out of the position I'm in. So there's like connection plus value in terms of like, I can implement this into my life to then get to where you are now. And it gets there by sharing all those steps, like step 1 to step 100.
Yeah, pretty much.
And they're the ones that perform well, right?
Yeah, those are the best performing ones. It's so funny you say that though. It's like, oh, I need to clean my room. Let me start journaling.
Yeah.
Doing anything other than doing the thing. But yeah, it's basically that, right? Like you want to think there are ups and downs to all of it. I mean, you were saying that my best performing videos, and I can attest to this, like they are my best performing videos, are studying videos.
Yeah.
I was not the best student all the time. Like I was not always the top guy. I'm still not the top guy. There are people who score higher than me who don't use these things. But it's really this whole idea of, I've gone through these periods of, I've messed up this exam or whatever, or like I've had assignments where I just forgot they even existed until a day before. And I think I actually made one video like that, and there was that whole panic of, no, I need to study for this one thing. And yeah, as a result of that, like even if it wasn't like a top job, like there is still something to learn from somebody who has come from, pretty all right to pretty well off. So you don't have to hear from someone who's like at 100 all the time.
Correct.
And that just comes from the whole idea of share your flaws, even if it's not fully baked yet.
Yeah, I agree. A lot of people are afraid to, even when I was in the gym space, there were a lot of other personal trainers that felt like, I'm not an expert enough to share what I know. But it's like, you know enough to teach the people that are not further along. What's the opposite of further along?
That are just right behind you.
Lesser along
Yeah.
in the journey, right? And that's enough. Like, you don't need to be the expert. And when you talk about your own experiences, that's enough, right? You talk about like, I'm not the perfect student. I'm not the smartest student. There are people smarter out there, but this is what worked for me.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
it,
much.
right? And that's enough for someone who's lesser in the journey to take away and get to your point, and it's like not being afraid to talk about that. And you don't have to be the expert in order to give out advice. It's just giving advice on, this is what's worked for me, and maybe it'll work for you. And if it doesn't, there's nothing wrong with that. Like, there's nothing wrong with sharing what you've learned.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is great. And I think, same as me, man, like, I've got a podcast. A lot of people are like, man, I'm not going to start a podcast because, like, I'm not the expert at anything. But I've been doing this for 6 years and I already know a lot. Or I just think, like, would me 5 years ago learn from what I'm sharing now? And I know the answer is yes. And when I talk to any of these topics, or when I share any learnings, I'm just thinking, would me 5 years ago have benefited from knowing this? That's it. Like, I'm not trying to teach someone that's been doing this for 20 years or has, like a full-on career. I know that there are thousands of people that are starting out trying to figure out how to make it as a creative. Everything that you're teaching, there are people out there that can learn from that and can take value away from it. And for me, that's enough.
Yeah, it's actually a relatability point.
Yeah.
Because you are more likely to look into somebody who's just a few steps ahead of you rather than someone who's at the end already.
Yeah.
Right? Like, someone made it their whole living to run a podcast studio.
Yep.
Right? They do it full time, but then you don't really want to learn from that if you're starting from step 1.
Yeah, exactly.
You want to hear from someone who's at step 3.
Yeah, still figuring it out.
Yeah, like there is always a gap in the market somewhere. And I think just being able to notice it, exploit it, and just show up, really.
Yeah, that's cool, man. And in terms of like learning from people that are further along, you've already talked about having one mentor. Is that something that you've done? I've heard you talk about having mentors a lot in your videos. How have they played a role, and how do you find them? What do you look for in a mentor?
For me, I've only had 2 mentors.
Okay.
And I think I only talked about it recently, actually.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think so with those two mentors, again, it was just hearing from the right person. If you most people already know what they need to do. It's just like there is some sort of objection. There is some sort of thing that's stopping them from going forward with it. I'm sure you know that from doing sales at at Bunker. So with that vein, you just need to hear from that person, and simply hearing from that person, even if you already know the answer, will save you time, because you now heard it from that mentor. That mentor doesn't have some sort of secret formula, well, very rarely. Yeah, very rarely they have that secret formula. So yeah, it's mostly just doing the thing, like just hearing from them to say, okay, like you need to get your shit together.
It's so funny, because with a lot of things, we know what to do. Even when I was in the gym, like people know, like to lose weight, just eat less, move more. you know,
that's it.
It's not that hard. It's like we know what to do. It's like hearing it from the right person, or someone that like forces us to, like, that keeps us accountable and makes us do the thing that we already know we have to do. You know, even with the content, like just start. If you just started and you started posting consistently, regardless of what it was, you're going to learn, you're going to get better. I think everyone knows that. Like, that's not a secret. You know, like start posting, figure out what you like, figure out what you don't like, and just keep going and get better. Give yourself a long enough time span to do it. Be consistent. Learn from just putting out a lot of volume. If anyone did that, they would get so much better in 12 months. And that's not a secret. Like I'm sure everyone knows that. Like everyone knows deep down, if regardless of whether it's content or anything, if I did this like consistently and I did it for like a year and I just tried to improve every time I did the thing, in 12 months' time, I would be so good at this. Like I think most people for most things would believe that. Yet we don't do it. It's like I need a faster way. I need a shortcut. Like what's the quickest way? I need to go viral. It's like, bro, just do the work.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know, and a lot of the times mentors just like tell you that. And then I've had a mentor too, and it was like telling me things that I knew I needed to do, but then forcing me to do it and being like, the next time I see you, and I see you next week, this needs to have been done, and then we'll talk about it. And I'm like, okay, cool. And a lot of those things were like forcing me to do things that I was afraid of doing. Like I talk about it all the time, but forcing me to like make videos and have me in them before I started doing them. And I'm like, oh man, that's scary. The self-doubt thing and everything. But the mentor forced me to do it. I was like, well, I've got to do it. And then I did it. And then I got past that. And then he's like, well, what's the next thing? You know? I find them so beneficial. They just save you so much time from like having to figure it out or go through it yourself. Because when it's up to you, you just kick the can along, and it takes way longer than it needs to be, because like no one's holding you accountable. And if you don't do it, no one's going to care or say anything. So yeah, I think that's interesting. And I see that you also hang out with a lot of creatives.
Yes, that too.
You make the time to go hang out with all of them.
Always, yeah. This is like the unrealized benefit of being a creative yourself, is that you get to meet people that you thought you would never meet. So every time there's an opportunity to meet somebody who is on this path with you, always take it up. Because like you're gonna come up with so many genuine connections that you're gonna see hope in it.
Okay.
Like
yeah, that's cool.
There's this whole thing of like, okay, for the most part, every creative is going through some sort of doubt.
Yep.
It might not be the same sort of doubt that you're going through, depending on where you are in the journey. But like every creative is going through some sort of doubt. It's like doubt that, oh, should I post this? Or is it like doubt that I should pivot my content? Or is it doubt that, oh, maybe I need to up the quality of my content. Maybe I need to hire an editor, hire these people to increase the production value of my content now. There's always some sort of dilemma that they're going through. And even if you haven't come across the same problem yet, you can sort of relate to it, because you can be like, wow, okay, like I'm probably going to reach that point at some point. And yeah, just being able to meet those people and
how are you meeting these guys? Are you reaching out to them, or like how are these opportunities coming about?
It's just like mutual admiration.
Yeah,
honestly, like there are a lot of creators in the US that I've sort of talked around with online, and yeah, like if I ever fly over there, then that's going to be my first priority.
How are you making these connections? Are you just sending him a DM? Hey, love your work.
Yeah, pretty much. It's like there are a few times where you would be on the receiving end where it's just like, I love your work, especially in the cinematic space. It's just like we all root for each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going through all of those motions and just being like, yeah, it's awesome what you're working on. And this is a pretty important thing as well. It's just like the whole idea of working on something, right? Because if you think of a creative who hasn't actually done anything, it's hard to relate to them.
Yes.
Who hasn't at least tried.
Yep.
Right. Because it's like, oh, I'm thinking of doing this, but well, you're thinking of it. I can't really help you there.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yes. There's a lot of people thinking about it. Like, you'd rather talk to the guy that's like in the middle of it. I'm in the middle of doing this thing, man, and I'm trying to figure it out. Like, there's so much more value in that than talking to the guy that's like, I'm thinking of doing this and this and this.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a good point. Damn. No, you're right. And it's surrounding yourself with those types of people, you know, because I heard you talk about what makes, you know, if you're trying to develop yourself, there were three things that you said were like the most important. All we need is fitness, finance, and a good work ethic.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I agree with you totally. I'd also add relationships. This is what I found for me, right? I think relationships and the people you surround yourself with, touching on what we just said, it like makes you the type of person that you are. If you're around people that have high values, that are doing stuff, right? It's inevitable that you're going to become that type of person as well. So if you're trying to level up or become a better version of yourself, paying attention to the people that are around you, if they're trying to better themselves also, it's going to make it a whole lot easier for you to do these things. If you're around people that are looking after their fitness, trying to look after their finances, and they have a good work ethic, chances are you're going to become that person regardless of whether you're trying to or not. And if you become aware of that the people around you aren't doing any of those things, it's going to make it so much harder to do these things.
Yeah, for sure. Because there's always this one force that's going to push you forward.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I'd love to make that amendment because I think how long
I
ago
agree
did
with
I
you.
make that one thing? Like
I don't know when it was, but it was a good point.
Yeah. It's just like you grow. Like over time, and you realize stuff like this. This is actually exactly why my startup that I built in Melbourne, that one was specifically about building relationships.
Yes,
Exponent. Yeah, Exponent. Because that was like, there was a big period of there are so many people who are on this journey to reaching those three pillars. But then the one thing that was missing for them was that fourth one, the relationship side of things.
Yep.
Right, being able to connect with people. Because for me, I had it. Because, you know, creatives, we can see each other's work and we're like, oh yeah, let's meet up if we're in the same city. But not everyone has that following. Not everybody has the same opportunity to meet people that they look up to.
Yes.
So yeah, to get to that point, after meeting all of these people, I'm like, I want people to access more people like this. Like this is fun.
Yeah, right. It does make it more fun. When you're all going through it together, it does make it more enjoyable. I agree. I understood relationships a lot of the time from being in the fitness space, man. Like I was a personal trainer. Like someone who can afford personal training is usually doing pretty well. And what I found more and more all the time, this is what made me realize a lot, is like you'd see these guys, usually guys, it could be women, that are like older, really out of shape, but very successful, like super successful. These high achieving, they've got the finances, right? They've achieved the goals business wise, but they've given up a lot of these other pillars. They've sacrificed the other pillars in order to like fulfill one, right? And you hear a lot of these people. You hear it all the time. People that are rich as fuck, but they're not happy. Like they're super unhappy. They're depressed. And it's like, how the hell can this person be so depressed when they have like millions of dollars? And I think it's because they're not looking after all these other pillars. Like, they're not healthy, right? They haven't looked after their health because that got sacrificed in order of chasing this dream. But then at the same time, there's also the relationship side. Like, they're a terrible partner. They haven't spoken to their kids in years. Their kids hate them, but they've achieved the goal, you know? But the reason they're so unhappy is because they haven't looked after these other pillars. And I think it is, you sacrifice relationship. I didn't hang out with anyone. Like, all my mates were in the fitness space. So I was like, well, you guys are no use to me. I'm trying to do this thing. And I lost all my friends in a bad way. I'm not saying this is a good thing. This is something that I learned in the process. And I'm like, man, I need to find new friends. Like, there's no point me doing all this by myself, and like there feels like there's a lack of something. And then it's like, oh man, I need to share this with people and connect with people. And then that fills that pillar up again. But realizing that there's these 3 or 4 things that are really important, and knowing when you're sacrificing 1 or 2 of them in order to chase this other one, it may leave you unfulfilled.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's just a balancing act, really.
Yeah, and you have to but be aware of those things and make time to balance those things out.
No, 100%, 100%. It's something interesting you said as well. It's just making sure that you can work on that one thing.
Yeah.
Remember how I mentioned that it was really hard to grow if you had multiple things on your plate? Because you can't put any significant amount of effort to actually achieve anything within that stage if you aren't focused. Yeah, it's the same with those pillars. You have to prioritize one or the other. There are times where I'm purely focused on content university where I would skip the gym sometimes.
Yeah.
Hate to say it.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like once you slowly get back at it, then you can work on those other pillars, and you see significant progress purely by maintaining everything else with what you have currently and just focusing on growing one, rather than being like, I'm going to uplift every single thing all at once.
Yeah. Yeah, and feeling okay with, like, just think there are times, you know, like, you, as much as you want to balance everything out and have this amazing balanced life, it just doesn't work that way. And there are times where I'm just like, man. And I'll tell, like, I tell my girlfriend, I'm like, this next month, I'm going to be getting smashed. Like, I've just got to work. And that's fine. Like, it's not, I think you need to realize when it just becomes the norm and it's like, okay, this is bad. I'm not paying attention to relationships. I haven't been to the gym in fucking ages because I've been doing this thing. I think it's okay to have, like, periods and understanding I need to get my fitness in check. I'm going to go every day and I'm going to go hard. I'm going to get my food right because I need to fix this, and have a period where you're just focused on this one thing in order to get it in check. Yeah. It is a balancing act. Like, there's no right or wrong, but it's knowing when if you don't pay attention to some of these things, like, you're left unhappy no matter how good you are at the other things. Very important. Yeah, man. No, this has been good. This has been good. The last thing, I saw that you're building an email list.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you talk about, is that like trying to build a deeper community? Is that like trying to find true? I feel like that's a way of finding true fans.
Yeah, I actually have a big belief in this, but you actually don't own any of your true fans until you have some way of reaching them that's off platform.
Good point.
This is a big one if you're trying to build a personal brand as well.
I've been hearing this more and more lately.
Yeah. Like, as a creative, you want to, no matter what happens, especially after, like, the whole TikTok ban in the US, people have lost, like, some people have lost their livelihoods. Luckily, TikTok's back. But if anything else were to happen during that time, say the platform that you're on right now, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, if any one of them were to shut down, very unlikely, but if they do, you have no way to access your followers after that.
Yep.
You can't access the people who you resonated with. And the only way that you can do that is if you have their email address. Now, when it comes to the email list, it wasn't just a numbers game. It wasn't just like, oh yeah, I need to find my true fans. So yeah, the main reason is because I've made a resolution for this year to help 10,000 people better tell their stories and multiply their passions through personal branding.
Cool.
Right.
Yep.
I hate to be those, like, personal brand gurus, but but yeah,
you're someone that's done it.
I have been someone who's done it.
Yeah.
And I also think the whole idea of, like, coming up with a genuine story that you want to push to the world, it does take a lot of experimentation initially. Like you said, trial and error. Trial and error is such a big thing. But I think there are some things where you can just sort of cut running into those problems altogether, and just like being in the right frame of mind, and just as somebody who has started with like series-based content, and even now I'm still like learning how to do it.
Yep.
Just getting more people up to this point is going to be like such a transformative mission for a lot of people, because I know people, especially from Exponent actually. We have one guy who's starting a restaurant in Montreal. We have one person who's starting a cafe pop-up. Right, we have another person who's like reselling sneakers, like shoes and stuff like that. And yeah, it's just there are so many people who are working on something and trying to go full time with it. And it's just the whole idea of like, oh, I don't know how to build a brand around this, how to get people to root for me from the bottom. Yeah. It's just getting that out there, just being able to help people reach that point. Because I like to think of personal branding as a multiplier, right? It's like an amplifier for your passion to 100x what you're doing.
Yep.
So it's just pushing that, and that's exactly why I'm building the email list. I just want to give that help to as many people as possible. Really does not matter if it's like, you know, through like closer proximity to me, through I don't know, like any sort of mastermind mentorship stuff like that. Even if it's just like newsletter pushes, I'm always going to not gatekeep any sort of information, because I'm just not someone who likes to gatekeep those things. It's like if I know something, I'm gonna push it to people. I'm gonna be like, oh, I grew a personal brand. There is no secret, right? Like I'm not gonna say, oh yeah, here's a framework that worked for me, but like I didn't personally grow from that.
Yeah, of course.
I'm just gonna want to share what happened.
Yeah.
Right. And for me, it was just like push quantity, take inspiration, copy at first, find your own thing, never niche down. That's it.
Yeah. That's great. And then what are they getting in the newsletter that they're not getting through your content?
It's structure.
Yeah.
For me, like a lot of my content now is more so value based, and I'm actually working on a series very, very soon. Like it's why I've been in this quiet period. But I'm working on a series very, very soon where it's going to break down this whole mission. And with that, I want to use that mission as its own story to sort of push that this thing works, right? Because like I've done so many case studies of successful storytellers as of late, and like I think this was awesome, taking a little break. And this is the whole like idea of a long game. Even though I've been doing this for a year, I wanted to spend a few months to just sit it out and really just learn, absorb information. And this is me starting to come out of my shell. This is like me coming onto this.
Yeah.
Right. It's it's really figuring that all out, and yeah, it's gonna be fun.
That's cool, man. And you're sharing a lot too, which is great. Like you're sharing everything, and I think that's what makes followable content in terms of the way that you put it, right? You've got someone like, this guy doesn't hold back. He shares everything. Of course you're going to want to follow that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Like if there's a paywall behind it, then you think that there's something malicious going on.
Yep.
You might feel like, this person isn't actually giving me the full picture because, it's hidden behind some sort of course that he's selling.
Yep.
Yeah, like it's like if you're selling just a course, I don't think the information should be any different. The only thing, the thing that people will primarily pay for, right? This is you being able to turn your passion into something that you can do full time. Because I hate to talk about the money side, but you sort of have to think about it.
Yeah, of course.
The only thing that you really need to think about when you're trying to monetize is people just pay you in proportion to what you can bring them.
Yeah.
Like the result you can bring them. Because you can give them the tools, right? Like I can give every resource that I have that I've been building up over the past few months that I've just been quiet about. And most people won't do anything about it.
True.
Right? It's all that idea of, okay, I'm investing in my own mission. And yeah, it's proximity. It's also just the result. Right? Like if I can confidently join like this mastermind group, and within those 6 months I can see this, and it's been proven, then it's like, yeah, okay, I'm gonna do it.
You feel like it's almost guaranteed. It's more
Yeah,
guaranteed.
almost. And the only thing that's stopping you is doing the work.
Yeah. And when you put yourself in that environment, you're more likely to do it, and then which gives you more certainty about achieving the result.
Yeah, exactly. There are so many different ways of getting into that. Like there are some of these maps where they teach you how to get into startups. There's some of these maps that teach you how to make better videos. There are some that teach you how to sell on Etsy or whatever. There are some that even go, oh, okay, I'm going to teach you cinematography, how to document your life better.
Yep.
There are so many of them.
I've seen them.
Yeah. So it's, you can tell it works.
Yeah, they're not hard. They're not hard to find.
Yeah, for sure.
That's cool, man. And I like what you're doing, whether you're doing it intentionally or not. It is finding these true fans, whether it's through the newsletter, through your app. And I've heard people talk about this, like in terms of building brand, like you need all these, I guess, pillars of content where you've got the viral content down pat, which is like this top of funnel content that's trying to reach as many people as possible. But now you're also sharing a lot of, like, in terms of you saying don't niche down, it's like get followable content is people getting to know me more on a bit of a deeper level. So like that viral content, I'm not going to find out more about you, but it's going to reach more people. And I guess it is important in terms of just reaching people in general, right? Whereas like your middle funnel content gets you to know Jayden like a little bit more and gets to figure out what those other interests are. And now if from that middle funnel content, there's bottom funnel content. Like I'm so interested in this guy, I'm going to invest my time. I'm going to sign up to this newsletter. And then these pillars of content, your newsletter, your apps, showing up on a podcast, people get to know you way deeper and they become true fans. But they've gone through that funnel. They've found that viral content. They've found out more about your interests. And now they're like in the community and they want to experience like Jayden's world in real time.
Yeah, pretty much. You got that whole funnel. I actually have a really weird take about virality. I don't think it's necessary to go full time with it.
Yep.
Virality in itself is you reaching a crap ton of people.
Yes.
And well, reaching a crap ton of people doesn't mean anything if none of them are going through that funnel in the first place.
Yep.
So it's more so thinking, okay, what kind of market am I going for? And how many people realistically do I need to really hit deep? Like there are some pieces of content where it's like it's scroll stopping content, right?
Yep.
But then you'll watch that whole thing and be like, oh, okay, that was pretty cool, and then continue onwards.
Yep.
But that's not for everyone. Sometimes there are some videos for me that others would just scroll straight past, where it's like really specific to the exact issues that I'm going through or something that I'm trying to solve. Right. So if it's me trying to figure out how to build a funnel, and it's a really technical short form video that most people would scroll straight past, but then that thing pertains specifically to me. That thing could get 100 views, that can get that creator 100 views, but then 20% of them, of those 100 views actually end up converting because you are now providing genuine content that isn't made for everyone.
Yes.
Because if you try and make something for everyone, you'll please no one.
Yes.
If you make something for everyone, then it becomes a lot harder to push through with it. So be very, very targeted in what you do. Even if it's not followable content, the thing that you want is a very clear progression. If someone clicks on your profile, which will happen, if you make a good video, someone will click on your profile. If you can click on your own profile and see exactly where you came from, like basically the progression between this is where I started, this is where I'm at right now, this is where I'm going, then that's more than enough for someone to start trusting you and going like, I'm going to follow this person's journey. We're going to grow with them. Yeah. That is what makes you a hidden gem in terms of content. Yeah.
That's fantastic. It's really good, man. You're sharing a lot. Lots of good value. in what you're saying. All right. If coming towards the end, if you were to start all of this, say you woke up tomorrow, you opened your phone, you had 0 followers, like just died. How would you go about? Would you do things differently? What would you do to get to where you are now?
Would I still have my videography experience under my belt?
You've got all your skills, but everything's gone. Your contacts are gone, 0. Your contacts are, but your skills is still you. You still know what you know.
Okay. Number one thing, I would actually focus more on figuring out what defines me as a brand.
Mm-hmm.
I always say don't niche down, which is true. You don't want to niche down, but you want to have a very clear mission on what you're doing, because you are only a fragment of the internet. No, like literally nothing revolves around you, because like people will follow hundreds of other creators, right? So you need to be a fragment of those creators. You just have to put yourself in that fragment. So thinking about it like that, I would focus less on quantity because I already have the skills that I have. But if you don't have those skills, focus on quantity first. Then slowly build up a genuine followable story that pushes your mission. And from there, well, it doesn't even matter in terms of like how big that brand grows, because now you'll have at least 100 people reaching that would genuinely follow you to the end of the earth. And that genuine 100 people is so much more valuable because you get to actually talk to them. Like I still reply to DMs no matter what. Like it's one thing that even though it's not scalable at all, I will always do it. Even if it's like someone asking me, oh, what camera should I buy or something like that. Right? That's probably the biggest question that I get. I will always respond based on their own experience and stuff like that. I'll give actual recommendation. It's just something that you need to do to connect with the people who genuinely follow you for you. And yeah, that's what I would do from the start.
Yeah, that's a good point. And just building those genuine connections. A lot of people overlook that, I think. Like replying to those messages, comments, and all that type of thing. Like they're the people that are actually invested in what you're doing. And they're more important than a lot of people think. I see a lot of posts and I'm like, man, none of these comments have been responded to. And it's like people asking genuine questions. And I'm like, they're the real ones, man.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't ignore them. Like I think it shows a lot when you look at personal brands and how deep they are. It's like you've got all these people that are asking like real deep questions, and to be able to connect with them, it like you're getting that true fan. That fan just got a little bit more invested because you replied to their comment or their message.
Yeah, exactly. It's not even just like like I'm going to turn this person into a customer.
No,
It's so much more than that, because it's like you realize that every single one of these people who are like interacting with your content is someone who resonates with it. And that was the end goal in the first place, to get someone to resonate with the work that you put out. So yeah, like if we're going from the start, I'd actually prefer to do that. Like I'm in the process of basically purging all of my following now, where it's like I would prefer to have 10K followers who like I will connect with all 10,000. That's probably pretty hard, but connect people with all those 10,000, then have 50,000 that like only a few of them actually care.
Yeah, of course. Because then you have a real community, man. It's good. It's important. It's what most people are trying to achieve and don't know how to. That's cool, man. Lastly, we talked about a lot of these creators who you try to reach out, and that who inspires you? Who's someone that you haven't met yet that you would love to meet as a creative, and maybe who's someone that you have met who you know personally that you look up to?
Oh, this is a tough one. All right, I have
He knows too many.
No, I have a comfort YouTuber that I watch a lot.
Yeah.
Still based in Sydney, actually. I haven't spoken to him yet though. I only ran across his content maybe a few months ago.
Yeah.
I really do want to meet him though, because like I absolutely love his work. His name is Tatsuki.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen him, right?
Very good. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the way that he documents and storytells, it's so real.
Yes.
It's so raw, and I'm just like, yeah, this is a break. This is a break from like
It is.
the high energy content
is.
that I see, and that's just me. I like more was it more grounded stuff. I don't really like heavy editing. I don't really like any of that.
Yep.
So yeah, it's just like I see every one of his works as like an art form.
Yes.
And yeah, like I have yet to meet up with him and just yeah.
And he's really consistent too.
Yeah, that too. That's
Yeah.
it.
I'm inspired, like, it's like once a week for like the last year. I found him about a year ago, and yeah, I've been following him ever since. And I just can't believe how often he's posting. And it's always good. Like, the thing is, as someone who's tried to make YouTube videos, I'm like, I know how much work goes into this, man.
Yeah, no,
and he's posting all the
YouTube's
time.
a different game.
Yeah. And yeah, they're really well put together. Yeah, no, good choice. What about someone you've met?
Someone I've met. All right, there are too many that I look up to.
Yeah.
From like people I've met.
You're gonna
I feel,
hurt someone.
I feel like I look up to
Yeah.
everybody because I'm just like, I'm the young one who's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I wish I was you, man.
Yeah, man, for sure.
It's like, I want to own my own studio one day. Look at this, look at this stuff.
Look at this guy.
But yeah, in terms of the people I've met, I think the biggest hitting one so far was this girl Chloe. Right, so she basically owns like a clip-on nail business.
Yep.
Now, in the days of my like e-commerce,
Yeah.
my e-commerce era, you know, COVID-19, that stuff, she started that business from scratch, and then she was able to drop out of university from it.
Yeah, wow.
And then she started content at the exact same time, grew to like 100-something thousand.
Damn.
In that short period, and it was just unbelievable because I was just like, this was the reason why I wanted to go through this progression in the first place, because I was like, her progression is so similar to what I want to do that I'm just gonna like follow along with it. Like, it's definitely not my niche. Like,
Yeah.
I don't do makeup on myself, you know. Like, come on.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was just like following along that whole journey.
Yep.
And yeah, I actually got to meet her very, very recently. It was a whole thing, and it makes you realize that everyone's human,
Yeah.
right? And it's just
Yes.
like, wow. Like even at the stage that I'm at, I can still help her out. She helped me out so much in terms of like giving me a little bit more clarity in the journey, just like asking her questions about her own. And yeah, like that's probably the standout in terms of who I've met and look up to.
That's cool. That is cool. Seeing someone's growth in real time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's inspirational.
For sure.
That's cool. And man, I love doing this because I get to meet so many people that have like done cool shit.
Yeah, exactly. No, the whole
And
cool shit mantra is so good. Like, that used to be my bio, just like building cool shit, meeting people who are doing cool shit.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So true, man. Because it gets you inspired to do more. It's like, man, I can do more. I can do something like that too. Like, I just think it's cool. And you're right. You did say something before. I think it was about maybe it was cinematographers. Like, we're all trying to help each other out. Like, we're all fans of each other.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I think there has to be more of that.
Yeah, 100%.
Cool. That's mad, man. Well, thanks for coming on. Thanks for sharing so much. You know, you know a lot for a young man. It's good. And it's keep sharing, man, because you're doing such a good job. And I know that what you're sharing is helping people. So keep doing it. I can't wait to continue seeing you do more.
Appreciate it, Kenny.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you, man. Woo! That was good.
We did it.
That was good.